In tonight's Retaking America segment, we head to Minnesota, where night after night, crime is wreaking havoc on cities like Minneapolis. Carjackings there are up 146% since 2019. Motor vehicle thefts are up 60%. And it's where former NFL sideline reporter Michelle Tafoya had her car stolen yesterday. She says that although the perpetrator was caught and was on probation, he'll likely to be out by tomorrow. She blames Democratic leadership for that. Now, this is a big reason why Attorney General Keith Ellison, who promoted the rise of BLM and reimagining the police, could be the first statewide Democrat to lose in Minnesota in 16 years. A new poll shows he's down 7 points to his Republican challenger, Jim Schultz. Meanwhile, that same polling outfit somehow finds Governor Tim Walz is up 8 against our next guest, despite trailing big time on the economy, inflation, and crime. Something doesn't add up. Joining me now is Minnesota gubernatorial candidate Dr. Scott Jensen. Dr. Jensen, on every major issue that matters to Minnesotans, you are leading significantly against your opponent, the incumbent Democrat governor. So what's going on? It's only on the issue of abortion do voters say that, they trust him more. What are your thoughts here tonight?
The poll is utter nonsense. I think if you look at who was polled and you see who they voted for in 2018, you'll see that for every individual that voted for the Republican, Jeff Johnson, there were 2 that voted for Tim Walz, the Democrat. So literally, you have a doubling of the participants in the poll favoring the Democratic side. We're winning on the issues because Minnesotans get it that Tim Walz has been soft on crime, Laura. And it isn't just Tim Walz, it's everybody he's appointed, his judges, the prosecuting attorneys, his Department of Corrections. A local news program came out and demonstrated that 16 Minnesotans have been murdered by people who arguably should have been behind bars, but for Tim Walz's Department of Corrections letting them out on the street over and over again. So it's at every level of Tim Walz's administration that they're soft on crime. And that's why we didn't have to keep track of carjackings until Tim Walz got in office. And in 2021, we had almost 800 carjackings.
Now, the last-ditch effort, I'm calling it last-ditch effort, for assured momentum, Dr. Jensen, Barack Obama endorsed Tim Walz in Minnesota. Now, do you think Obama's endorsement matters when people are facing skyrocketing heating oil bills this winter? I mean, up by some measures by 60% from a year ago?
I think what people are seeing with Barack Obama and Ilhan Omar and Keith Ellison, and these are the key players in Tim Walz's endorsement team, I think people are just saying, we're not buying it. Tim Walz has not been willing to condemn critical race theory. He's not been willing to tell parents that he won't mandate that their kids have to get the COVID vaccine in order for them to go to school. I don't think it's going to matter a hill of beans. I think, honestly, what's going to matter is the fact that Minnesotans hold Tim Walz responsible and consider him the godfather of the epidemic of crime. And I think in the end, what people are really looking at is the Trafalgar poll that showed us a half a point up. I think that's the poll that has the most reliability, and people recognize we're right there.
The incumbent Governor Walz also took a shot at you over COVID, Dr. Jensen. Watch this.
If you're auditioning for this job, Scott had an opportunity in the one area that's supposed to be his expertise, and he found himself being one of the most to use this right, dangerous people when it came to COVID. There's a reason the entire Minnesota medical community, the best in the world, is supporting my candidacy because they understood that this was a moment to follow science.
What do Minnesota voters need to know about his COVID stewardship very quickly?
Honestly, the MMA is a liberal organization with a very small minority of physicians joining it. I've had physicians reaching out to me appreciating very much what I've done. Tim Walz locked people down. He locked businesses down. He locked kids out of school. He locked nursing home patients into nursing homes and made them die horrific deaths. People are going to remember Tim Walz as the lockdown artist and the godfather of crime, and that's all they really need to know, and that's why we're going to win in Tuesday.
I can't wait to watch. Dr. Jensen, thank you so much for being out there campaigning, and we'll talk to you after Tuesday. All right, CNN has